Taking school children to museum is a normal thing, but in Chennai, the Tamil Nadu Slum Clearance Board has initiated it. Why Slum Clearance Board? This is because the school children are from board's high-rise tenements in Perumbakkam. The board wants them to know about the Egmore Museum's history and exhibits. Ironically, the children lived just a few kilometers away from the Egmore Museum till a couple of years ago. They were residing in Chindadripet, Thousand Lights, and Anna Salai surrounding Egmore. But the families were moved to the periphery of the city more than 25 kilometers from its center. The displacement happened under a slum clearance drive which has been going on in Chennai for the past 5 decades. In the past 2 decades, slum dwellers had been relocated to remote places, and one of the relocation sites is Perumbakkam. After the Chennai floods in December 2015, around 14,000 families from the center of the city were moved to Perumbakkam. The relocation of such magnitude was unprecedented in the state. As their livelihoods were location-centric, scores of women and men lost their jobs. But children were the most affected. Once, their schools were a stone's throw from their homes. Now it takes them several hours to get to school and back. The eviction happened mid-year and it affected their academics. Under the Kuam River Restoration Plan, the Slum Clearance Board has carried out 42 evictions so far.
Out of the 42, 36 settlements were evicted during the middle of the academic year, which brings to a serious question of when an eviction happens during a middle of the academic year, are there adequate schools in the resettlement site of Perumbakkam?
So, the children are forced to continue their studies in the school that is around 25 kilometers away. To facilitate travel, the government has arranged special buses from Perumbakkam to the city center. But there comes another problem. The buses sometimes are jam-packed, forcing children to sit on the floor.
நாங்கள் காலையில் 5 மணிக்கு எழுந்துக்கிறோம். இங்கேருந்து 7:30 மணிக்கு பஸ்ஸு பிடிப்போம். பஸ்ஸு அங்கேருந்து 1 ஹவர் ட்ராவல் பண்ணுவோம். ஸ்கூலுக்கு 1 ஹவர் ட்ராவல் பண்ணுவோம். அங்கேருந்து ஸ்கூலுக்கு போனோம். சென்னை ஹை ஸ்கூலுக்கு போய் அங்கே நாங்கள் படிக்கும் போது கொஞ்சம் டயர்டாக இருக்கும். டீச்சர் நான் சொல்லுவோம், டீச்சர் படுக்க வைப்பாங்க. அப்போ கூட எங்களால் முடியாது படிக்கும். அதனால் 3 மணிக்கு வந்துடுவோம். 3 மணிக்கு அனுப்பி விட்ருவாங்க. 3 மணிக்கு இங்கே கல்யாண காலேஜ் ஸ்கூலான வந்து பஸ் ஏறிட்டு அப்படி பஸ்ஸை மிஸ் பண்ணிட்டோன்னா 2வது பஸ்ஸில் போக முடியும். ஃபஸ்ட்டு பஸ்ஸில் ஏறணுன்னா இங்கே வந்து சேர்றதுக்கு 5 மணி ஆகும்.
They have to board these crowded buses and then they have to reach their schools. Sometimes if they are late, they are punished in the school and for no fault of theirs. And the second issue is children skip breakfast. The third issue is the very safety of it, because children, when they are traveling in these buses, the buses are extremely overcrowded, and there were a lot of times when girls said that they face a lot of harassment when they are traveling in these crowded buses. So on an average, if you look at it, the entire rights of the children are being violated because we have been not successful in providing adequate neighborhood schools in this particular location.
But are there no schools in Perumbakkam? In fact, there is a secondary school on the premises of Perumbakkam tenements itself. But it cannot accommodate even 1/5 of the children residing there. Approximately, there are 18,000 families currently residing in Perumbakkam tenements. And the total strength of the school is just 600. Then what about the schools in surrounding areas?
When we talk to the government, they say there are neighborhood schools in Semenjeri or in Sholinganallu. However, there is already a resettlement site in Semenjeri consisting of 6,000 houses, and that school is adequate only for that particular settlement. I wouldn't even say it still has a lot of lacunae. And then if it is Sholinganallu, there is a umpteen number of host communities already residing in this area. So we cannot take into consideration these particular schools when we are talking about the children residing in Perumbakkam.
Lack of streetlights and open drains give no playtime to the children. Especially, girl children fear stepping out of their homes after dark. All these come about as the state fails to do a social impact study before eviction. According to the Right to Education Act 2009, a primary school student should have a school in 1 kilometer radius and those in classes 6 to 8 in a 3 kilometer radius. But a proper school was established in Perumbakkam only in 2017 after thousands of families were relocated.
So it is also a very sad state of affairs that even after 8 years of this resettlement site, even after 18,000 families are occupying this site, we are still grappling with the basic problems of how many schools that should this settlement have. So our demands to the state government: one, there should not be any mid-academic year evictions. No eviction should be followed without adhering to the due processes mandated in the laws of the land.
The hasty relocation of the families may beautify the city, but at the cost of the future of children who were born in slums. After all, it was not their choice to be born in slums.